Right, Shalom. First, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. Here's the article, all right, that one of the brothers just put in our chat. Okay, it says there are multiple fatalities after a shooting at a Pittsburgh synagogue. And, at this time of the year, you shouldn't be surprised, okay, that these quote-unquote terrorist attacks and hate crimes and all these things are happening again, okay, because when you really, that also adds to the reason as to how you know that it's all set up, all right, and it's false flags, because how is it that these terrorists have a season for which they want to commit these attacks? So now these quote-unquote terrorists are like hurricanes and all that, where they have, you got hurricane season where you got terrorist season, and it all, if you notice, it mainly always happens around this time of the year. All right, last year the same thing, and then they start bringing up that whole terrorism narrative, and then they shooting here, a car ran over a group of people here, this happened here, this happened there, because it's all part of these elites, doing their sacrifices. Around this time of the year, they require sacrifices, so they set up these different events and attacks, all right, to fulfill that, and also to push their narrative. Okay, they're moving towards that militarized state. Okay, the state, and they need a cause, a reason for them to implement certain laws and legislations that they've signed, all right, on the low. Okay, so I'm gonna skim through this article real quick, read the interesting parts. All right, so it says there are fatalities after a man opened fire during a Shabbat, which is Sabbath, all right, but a Shabbat service on Saturday morning. 4 police officers have also been shot and wounded. A suspect has been arrested. All right, so as we all know, they're gonna deem this a hate crime, by a anti-Semitic hatist or something like that, hater. It says multiple people have been killed and 4 police officers wounded after a gunman. They always go with that narrative, a gunman, man, but it's all set up. After a gunman opened fire in a synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Saturday morning. A suspect is now in custody after the shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood, authorities said. The scene is very bad inside, said Wendell Hisrich, the city's public safety director. There are multiple fatalities. At least 6 people were wounded in the incident, Hisrich said, including 4 police officers. The suspect is also receiving medical attention. A spokesperson for Allegheny General Hospital told BuzzFeed News that they were treating 1 patient. The University of Pittsburgh Medical Center said they were treating 4 people, 3 of whom were undergoing surgery. All right, here I just got the notification on my phone that it says at least 10 people were killed in the mass shooting at Pittsburgh Synagogue on the Jewish Sabbath or Shabbat. Anyway, but I mean, in reality, they're not even, man. These people are not even the real Jews. Here it is, they have us, all right, the real Israelites in captivity. They shoot us down, all right, and they get paid time off, okay, and they constantly do this. But when do you see that? When do you see that made such a big deal about it? If a Edomite or a so-called white cop shoots a Jake, all right, a so-called Negro, all right, which according to the scriptures, those are the real Jews, the Negroes. Okay, if you were to shoot him down out of hate, what would they say? They'll twist up the story and say, you know what, that's not no hate crime. No, that was him. He's justified because his life was threatened, or so and so, something along those lines, because it's a biased system, okay, directed against a certain people. And this narrative, all these terrorist attacks and all that stuff, man, they're pushing it because they want to get to a certain goal, and in order to do that, they need to inflict fear within the people's minds and the people's hearts, okay? Because once you have somebody in a state of fear and panic, what they're willing to listen to whatever you have to say as long as it'll keep them safe. All right. It says it's a very horrific crime scene. He said it's one of the worst I've seen, and I've been on some plane crashes. It's very bad. And then it goes on to and I believe it said that they were having a circumcision. They were circumcising a baby or something like that when it happened. All right. It says he was davening. Davening, Zachary said, referring to a form of Jewish prayer, and all of the sudden there was a loud boom. Zachary, now, hold on. You telling me that if he was a man of the Lord, and he was out here praying, the Lord is going to have this happen like that? Why didn't they have a hedge of protection over them? Why didn't the Lord send an angel to protect them? Because the scriptures talk about that. All right, let's get that real quick. Psalms 34:7. It says, "The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them." So hold on. The question here is, why wasn't the Lord? Why weren't his angels around them and delivering them from this? But let me see. There's a part in here I'm trying to find. Yeah, he says, "I've always had a very watchful eye because of what's going on in the current climate. You see these bombs being mailed across the country," he said, referring to the pipe bombs sent to Democrat leaders and Trump critics this week. All right, and hey, man, all this, it's crazy, but all this is all to push for a certain agenda. Okay, because once they pushing, then they can set up a big false flag attack, all right, and then just shut everything down and put all these. Well, if you don't comply with what the state says, if you don't comply with what we're saying right now, you're a terrorist because we cannot. You're rebelling against us. All these false narratives and lies. All right, that's really what they're trying to do, and ultimately why? So they can stop us from pushing this word. They can get us off the streets. Okay, with nationwide curfews and everything. All right, call us terrorists when what have we done? We're doing is uncovering the secrets, all right, and telling the truth about these lies that are being told and orchestrated, because this right here is an example of a silent weapon. Okay, look that up. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm looking for the part where I believe Trump. There it is. It says President Trump appeared to place at least some blame on synagogue officials, telling reporters he boarded Air Force One. As he boarded Air Force One, that the shooting could have been prevented by an armed security guard. "They didn't have any protection," said Trump. "They had a maniac walk in and they didn't have any protection, and that is just so sad to see. So sad to see. The results could have been much better." When asked if his administration needed to re-examine gun regulations, Trump said gun regulation has little to do with it. The president instead brought up the death penalty, saying that shooters at temples and churches should receive it. All right. It says when people do this, they should get the death penalty and shouldn't have to wait years and years, said Trump. Now, they could very well, which they will, extend that to not only shooters who shoot up churches and temples, but anybody who is deemed a terrorist, all right, because they don't comply with state laws or what the government is telling them. If the government says take the RFID chip and you say no, I don't want it, well, you're a terrorist. You're a domestic terrorist. You're a homegrown terrorist, and therefore you're going to receive the death penalty, because this is the punishment that we have for terrorists. So it doesn't matter what kind of terrorist you are, as long as you're deemed a terrorist, you are subject to this death penalty or this punishment. It says here, it's a terrible thing what's going on with hate in our country, frankly and all over the world, he added, and something has to be done. You see? So if but a lot of people they don't see this. They see when they set up these false flag attacks, they use pathos. They play on the emotions, all right, of the people. Okay, and then when people get emotional, what they don't think logically. They let their emotions speak. They let the emotions run wild. All right, that's why they target places with children, places like churches and so on and so forth, because that's gonna draw upon the people's emotion. All right, and when they're emotional, they just all they're thinking about, it's not even the right thing to do, but the thing that feels right, the thing that they think is right, retaliation. You know, and so whatever the government says, oh, we need to do this to prevent something like this from happening again. Oh yeah, sure, go ahead, do what you gotta do. It says New York City police said they would deploy extra security to local synagogues and other houses of worship as a precaution. Anti-Semitic hate crimes have risen dramatically in years, along with the proliferation of white supremacy groups, both online and offline. Anti-Semitic incidents jumped 57% in 2017, according to the Anti-Defamation League, which tracks anti-Semitic violence in the U.S. It was the largest increase year on year since the beginning of data collection in 1979. All right, and now you see how they're trying to push the narrative of anti-Semitic hate groups when really these people aren't even they aren't the true Jews. They aren't the true Israelites, and we teach that they're imposters. And so what can they easily do? Oh, these hate crimes, all right, against Semitic people, all right. These anti-Semitic hate crimes have risen dramatically since these Israelites came out here and been preaching that. You know, these quote unquote Black Hebrew identities, identity extremists, all right, who preach anti-Semitic stuff, which is what they can. That's a narrative they can push, and then try to tie us in, because hey, one way or the other, they're gonna demonize us, and they're gonna find some way somehow to try and tie us into something that we haven't done. All right. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it on the article. You can just type that in there and find it. Lord's will, I'll see if I can put the link in the description. But hey, just don't be surprised when you see more and more things happening, because we're in that time. We're in that time of the year when they do things like this. All right. But hey, like the scriptures say, which let me just get that and end it with that real quick. 2 Corinthians 2:11, it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And this is one of his devices, which is why whenever these attacks and these false flags are set up, we see through it, because we know what his goal is. We know he's trying to get to a certain place. So whatever he does, we can see how what he's doing is would possibly be a means for him to get to a certain goal, and we break it down through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All right. And that's something we got to thank the Lord for, because we've been given the eyes to see. All right. We don't get fooled or beguiled by these by Esau's little games and attacks, man. Okay. So Lord willing, this was edifying unto the elect, and just keep your eyes open, man. Keep your eyes open. Shalom.